it's the start of the NBA season. As we're recording tonight, we're recording on opening night of the NBA season. We witnessed the Celtics beat down on the New York Knicks, and the Lakers.
The Celtics look good. The Celtics look good, boy. The Celtics.
I mean, that's kind of a given. I think we all kind of knew they were going to be running it back with a pretty solid squad. Just a hunch.
Yeah.
And then the Lakers took care of business with the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I'm sure we'll have a lot of conversations about all of these teams throughout the season. But I just want to get a full scope of how you're feeling about maybe your Dallas Mavericks and
my Los Angeles Lakers. Don't forget that.
Shut up. You're not a Lakers fan.
You had the king and his prince. You had the king and his prince today.
You're not a Lakers fan.
And Bronny checking in at the same time. It was a movie. I was like, you know what? I've been talking shit a lot about this whole nepotism thing, and I still stand by everything I've said. But I thought that moment was very, very cool, and it's something that we're probably never going to see again as basketball fans. So I feel like, you know what, that right there, we had to sit there and we had to enjoy it, and it was pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, it was. But now that we're done talking about the Los Angeles Lakers, because they're not your team, I wanted to just pivot back, man. How are you feeling about the landscape of everything going into this NBA season, about the Dallas Mavericks and just everything going on around the league?
Bro, this season, I'm ready for it. Like, Boston does have a juggernaut. I think we're on the brink of seeing an all-time team, especially if they're able to go back-to-back, which they have a very, very good chance. I'm not going to hold you. That squad, watching this game against the Knicks, again, only opening night. The Knicks, like I said, new squad. They have Cat on the lineup. They have Mikal Bridges. A lot of players coming back from injury from a couple months ago. So I knew the Knicks were going to be rusty, but boy, the Celtics, that offense, that's one of the best offenses I've ever seen, dog. They go 5 out and all of them boys can spray. That's a squad, especially everything that happened this summer too with Team USA putting the battery in the backs of guys like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, who, weirdly enough, it seems like they might be on a revenge tour, even though they're coming off an Olympic gold medal and rings and a final MVP, but they're going to be on a revenge tour because of it. It's going to be a long season, but I'm excited. I know we're going to break down in a second who we believe are going to be our top 10 teams going into the season. Whenever you're ready, we can get it pumped, because I got my 10 right here ready to go.
Man, I was not aware that we were doing power rankings.
Yeah, fuck it, let's do some power rankings.
Hey, well, you know what? I'm down for it, and I'll do it on the spot with you. Because why not? And you know what?
How about we do this? We flip it back and forth, right? We start from 10, we go down to 1, and we start that way. We started the AWR. This is going to be the AWR top 10 power rankings for the 24-25 NBA season.
Okay.
And number 10, I am going to have healthy, right? All healthy.
Yeah.
And number 10, I'm going to have the Philadelphia 76ers.
Okay. That's I feel like I don't know.
That's too high for you?
I don't know where I have them, because I think they're going to be a really good team, but I'm just worried about the injuries because Embiid is injury prone. They're already saying that he's not going to play back-to-backs at all this season, maybe throughout the rest of his career. You're not starting on the best foot with Paul George hyperextending his knee before the season even starts. So I have concerns.
But I feel like 10's a good spot. If they're healthy, I think 10's a good spot.
I think 10's a good spot for them because, like, if they are healthy, and even then you still got Tyrese Maxey. He can hold it down for a little bit, I think. Just got to hope that those guys can stay healthy. But I'm with you. I think they're a top 10 team if they're all healthy.
All right, so 10, we got Sixers. At 9, who you got?
I think I'm going to go with the Memphis Grizzlies at number 9.
At 9?
At 9. I think
I was going to have them a lot higher. You're going
to have them higher, really?
Yeah, I think that Memphis is loaded. I think they're my sleeper team in the West. I really think like I said, we're going to go down the list, and I'm going to talk about my 2 favorite teams in the West. But I got Memphis a lot higher than 9. But if you got it's the AWR list. It's both of us together. So if you got Memphis at 9, fuck these other guys. I'm rolling with you. We got Memphis at 9.
No, I really like Memphis too. I think they're going to be a really good team. I do have a few questions just about what they're going to do with the center position because they did draft Zach Edey and he's looked really good in the preseason. Hopefully, he can just consistently put up those numbers. But again, this all is going to tie back to Ja. Is Ja going to be back healthy in the right mindset? He's not going to be doing stupid shit to get him off the court. That's the real question. And if he does, they're going to be a top 10 team. They could possibly be a top 2 seed in the West with how good
I think that
the squad could be.
Bro, they're going to get Jaren Jackson Jr. back
Desmond
this year.
Bain, Jaren Jackson,
JG Jackson. They have a squad, bro. They really, really have a really, really good squad. So that's why I'm surprised you. I'm not surprised you had them on the list. I was gonna have them closer to the top 5, but 9, I'm not mad at that. At 8, I'm gonna go with the Los Angeles Lakers. I like the idea, the insert of JJ Redick. I think he's gonna be a better coach for us than Darvin Ham is. I like Dalton Connect. He is, bro. Yes,
Sorry,
yes,
continue.
Dalton Connect is a fucking bucket. I'm not gonna let preseason gas me up too much in preseason, but I do like the Dalton Connect pickup. I think he was one of the steals of the draft. I think he adds shooting and scoring that the Lakers desperately need. But again, this season is going to come down to, I'm not going to say AD's health because he was fairly healthy last year. But the Lakers are going to go as far as Anthony Davis takes them. Anthony Davis is the best player on the team, point blank period. For the Lakers to be their best selves, he needs to be the best player on the team. Not saying that he wasn't last year. I feel like last year the supporting cast let them down more than anything else, which is the inverse of what happened 2 years prior against Denver, where I felt like LeBron and AD let the supporting cast down against Denver. But at number 8, I'm going to have the Los Angeles Lakers. I do think they're going to have a little better year than previous.
Okay, I like it. I think I am going to go at number 7. This is tough. There's still so many teams that I have to consider. And I know like the ones that I want towards the top. This is one of these. I'm going to go with number 7. I'm going to go with the Milwaukee Bucks. I think people are down on them, rightfully so, after last season because it was rough. Bringing Dame into the offense was not as smooth a transition as everyone thought it was going to be. You had injuries to Chris Middleton, injuries all over. Giannis.
It's just an older squad, bro. It's just an older squad.
Yeah, it is. But I think that they're going to need to figure it out. Chris Middleton is coming in. He actually went on an interview recently and was talking about like his label as being injury prone. And unfortunately, that's just the label that's been put on him because he has been hurt the last couple of seasons. But before all of that, he had been pretty consistent. And hopefully he can get back to that level of play because I think he's really important to just the core that they have there. And again, you still got Dame, you still got Giannis, you still got a group of guys that are hungry to win a championship. And I'm putting them at 7 just because, I mean, who else in the East is there really to compete with Boston besides Philly? And
I would say the Knicks.
I was going to say the Knicks, but they're going to be higher on the list for me too. Besides that, though, I really don't think there's another team in the East that's going to be competing against them besides Milwaukee. Milwaukee's going to be one of the only teams that really has a chance as long as Giannis and Dame stay healthy.
See, and I do think they need a big season this year because, like I said, that squad is old.
They do.
Not to tarp on it, but I would flip Memphis and Milwaukee.
I'm not mad at that. Honestly,
I would flip Memphis and Milwaukee.
I'm not mad at that. If you would, we could do that. Honestly, let's switch it. If you want, we'll switch it.
Repeat it. So repeat it again. So at 9.
Or at 9, we've got the Milwaukee Bucks now. You at number 8 picked the Los Angeles Lakers, and now at number 7, we're just sliding down the Memphis Grizzlies to 7. So who did you have at 10? Apologize.
Sixers. I had Sixers. I was debating between the Sixers and the Pacers at 10, but I'm gonna go with the Sixers just because they're more top end.
Pacers are solid too, man. I think they're gonna have a good
Conference
season.
Finals. You know what I mean? I want to see a full healthy year of Tyrese before I say something. So at 7, can you repeat it one more time? Who we got at 7?
At 7, we've got the Memphis Grizzlies now. I slid them down instead of the Milwaukee Bucks. So Memphis at 7.
Number 6, I'm going to go with. I gotta make sure I'm not forgetting any teams because we're kind of going. I want to say fast, but I want to make sure that we're not forgetting any teams. But pardon me. At number 7 or at number 6, It's hard because I do think this is when we're going to start getting closer and closer to the um uh sorry, we're going to get closer and closer to the contenders in the NBA for who can make the finals. And number 7, I'm going to have to
Number
go.
6.
Number 6. Sorry, I said 7 again. Number 6, I'm really going to go with the Denver Nuggets. I like
Mm,
I like the addition of Russ. I really, really do. Having him in the dunker spot, having him as another playmaker, opposite of Jokic, opposite of Jamal Murray. I really love it. I think it was a move they should have done last year because I think if they would have Russ last year as a replacement for a guy like Bruce Brown, they probably would have made it out the West with Russ. The problem
mm.
with getting Russ this year is that you lost a guy in KCP who was one of the best 3-and-D guys in the league. You lost KCP. And I just don't feel like you have enough shooting. I think Jamal's been really, really bad since coming back from injury. He was bad in the playoffs. Yes, he had the big moments against the Lakers, but he was really, really bad against um, Minnesota. He was really, really bad for Canada in the Olympics this summer. And they're going to need a big, big year from him, especially with the squad getting thinner and thinner. But I do think when you have Jokic and when you have that starting 5, you're going to have probably one of the best offenses in basketball guaranteed. And especially in the West, when now that team in Minnesota doesn't necessarily have the Jokic stopper in Cat and Gobert together, being able to stop that team, I like their chances a lot. I just feel like they're just too thin. But I'm gonna go the Denver Nuggets at 6.
I like it. I like the Nuggets in the top 10. I don't know. I feel like Jokic is such a cheat code that like I wouldn't even mind you putting them like in the top 5. Um,
I
just
was
because
I
he's
was
so
debating
good.
I was debating between them and Minnesota at 6. I think for me, I don't know who you're gonna have at 5.
I'll take Minnesota at 5 actually. That's who I was thinking because I mean, even though they lost Cat, I still think Anthony Edwards is a dog. Jaden McDaniels is a dog. They've got guys on this team that can really play, and I really don't think that losing Cat and replacing him with Julius Randle is going to be that detrimental. It is going to hurt. It's definitely going to like influence a lot of the stuff they're going to have to change offensively. You don't have that perimeter shooting and that big man anymore, but
But you
I
get something else in different in Randall.
in
Randall's, I
Randle.
think, a better playmaker. He's a better scorer inside. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes it's going to look really ugly with him and Gobert. But
Yeah.
I feel like in the future, it gives them flexibility too, because you're kind of locked in with Cat for the next 3 years, like
Yeah.
locked in with Cat. And I feel like they saw his performance against Dallas and was like,
Yeah, and I mean they just recently re-signed Naz Reid too, who's was a big part of that team last year, and now he's going to get some more play because it's going to call for it. Randall hasn't been healthy the last couple of years, so there's a chance that I mean, knock on wood, hopefully he does stay healthy, but there's a chance he doesn't play all 82 games. So Naz Reid's going to have to step up and play some big minutes for these guys now, and I think he's entirely capable of it. So
also, I
I
like
like,
the additions too of Rob Dillingham and Dante DiVincenzo because you saw in that Dallas
yep,
series, they've really, really lacked playmakers. Really, really, Dallas was daring anybody else, but Anthony Edwards to handle the rock, and it worked out for them. And I feel like they kind of realized like, yeah, Ant has to get better as a playmaker, but we also have to give him some help. And you know about them Kentucky guards, boy, they are good. When in doubt,
yep.
draft a Kentucky guard, and Rob Dillingham is going to be very, very good. If maybe not this year, but in the future, I feel like he has a chance to be a very good partner for him. And for the time being, him and Dante DiVincenzo, Dante gives him like you can rest now Anthony Edwards in a playoff series for like 2-3 minutes if you need to. Like
Yep.
DiVincenzo gives him that break. He gives you quality 3-and-D minutes. You saw it against with the Knicks. You saw it with him how great he was against Indiana. So I like their team. I really do like their team. I think like they lost, like you said, perimeter shooting and a little bit of defense with Cat. I do think they kind of saved some of it with Naz Reid because Naz Reid is going to have a bigger workload. But Randall too is going to help a lot. I like this Minnesota team. I'm not mad at you having them for 5. Like I said, them in Denver 5 and 6 is where I would have it.
Yep. Well, E, you're up at 4. So how you feeling here? Because I think we're basically down to like the teams that I think we're all kind of in agreement with, but it's just a matter of what's the order.
For sure. At number 4, I'm gonna have the New York Knicks. Um,
Okay.
They didn't have a good showing at all today against Boston. Boston blew them out the water. But I'm gonna give them a pass. First game of the season, new team, right? Um,
Against the
they did
defending champs on ring
defending
night.
champs on rain night. It is what it is. I'm kind of worried a little too much about them messing with Mikal Bridges' shot, but I do like the Mikal Bridges pickup. I think Cat is a play finisher for them that I feel like in crunch times, crunch time's a bad way to put it, but I feel like he extends the court a lot. He doesn't really clog up the paint too much for guys like Brunson in a way that Julius might have had. I do like their team a lot. I feel like they lost a little bit of depth getting rid of DiVincenzo, but I do like their team a lot. They got really, really long. They re-signed OG. If they stay healthy, I think they're the second best team in the East.
I fully agree. I think they would have gone to the Eastern Conference Finals had it not been for Jalen Brunson's injury. He was playing unreal, and now you add Cat into the equation. And like you said, you lose a little bit of depth in Dante DiVincenzo, but I think bringing in Mikal Bridges and Karl Anthony Towns this offseason is just going to make them so dangerous offensively. Yeah, I really like this Knicks team, man, and I'm not mad at you having them at number 4. I am going to have your Dallas Mavericks at number 3. And this one really hurts because I love Luka. I love Kyrie. They were in the finals last year and put up a valiant effort against the Boston Celtics. And I think they got better this offseason, adding Klay Thompson. You're getting second year of sorry, the name's slipping.
Derek Lively.
Yeah, Derek Lively, who played really, really well in the postseason for y'all.
You gotta remember too. They adding Quentin Grimes. They're adding as well Najee Marshall. I'm not mad. I think Dallas has a top 3 team. You're not gonna hear no complaints out of me. I feel like you watch that Boston series, and I feel like people have this kind of notion that like Dallas's defense was so bad, and that was the reason why they lost the series. When the matter of fact was Dallas couldn't shoot for shit. Outside of Luka, nobody on that team could shoot in that Boston series. And if you're Dallas, right, going into this season, knowing the window that you have with Luka and Kyrie, like, yeah, you made a finals, but you want to win one. And how do you beat this Boston team? I think defensively, you can talk about how great Dallas was last year, especially with the addition of guys like PJ Washington. And even though they lost Derrick Jones Jr., you do replace him in another quality defender in Najee Marshall. Quentin Grimes, when we last saw him, was a really, really good 3D player. Klay Thompson might not be the same player, but it's still fucking Klay Thompson. That's still fucking Klay Thompson. You know what I'm saying? And when you have a guy like Luka that can generate some of the best open looks in basketball, you'll be okay. You'll be okay. I think that's what kind of Dallas is banking on. Like, okay, our shooting got it worse. Our shooting was terrible in that finals. How do we replace that? Let's get a top 3 shooter of all time in Klay Thompson that specializes in catch and shoot. He's not gonna have to create his own shot as much as he had to in Golden State. A guy like Quentin Grimes, who's a lot more of a consistent shooter, a better defender than a guy like pardon me, Josh Green. Yeah. Right, he may not be as athletic as Josh Green is, better defender, way better shooter. We saw him with the Knicks before he got hurt, how good he was with them. Najee Marshall in his year with New Orleans, a really, really good point of attack defender. If there's somebody that Oklahoma City Thunder fans, I know Gobi might be watching this, Najee Marshall is a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander stopper. He's a really, really good defender, really, really good scorer. I feel like he's a decent enough playmaker too, where like being fourth in rotation, handling the rock behind Luka, behind Kyrie, behind Spencer Dinwiddie, and or Dante Exum. That's not a bad fourth or third option handling the ball. So I'm not mad. I feel like Dallas has a legit shot. I think the team I'm going to name at 2, these 2 teams on paper, I think are the 2 best teams in the West.
Yeah.
Barring a team like Denver or Memphis upsetting them.
Yep. And I kind of backed you into a corner with that one because now I'm assuming your number 2.
My number 2 pick is going to be the Oklahoma City Thunder. That team is fucking loaded. I think they, on paper, should be the favorite coming out of the West. Like I said, I'm going to root for my Dallas Mavericks, so don't take this too much to heart. You already know the vibes. But I feel like Shai has – last year he proved that he can go mano a mano with a guy like Luka in the playoffs. His play style translates to the playoffs. He was great against Dallas. And you saw them address a lot of the needs that they had that Dallas took advantage of. Size on the board, right? Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford, PJ, they were really able to take advantage of Chet on the boards and their lack of size. You know what they do? Go get a really, really great 5 in Isaiah Hartenstein that fixes a lot of those problems, and who's a guy that I think can play alongside Chet and really give a really, really good kind of Twin Towers look down in the paint for them. And then they go and get one of the best perimeter defenders in basketball and Alex Caruso that kind of adds to their point guard depth. That makes it really, really difficult to play against because you're going to have a guy like Shea who's already a pretty good defender, J-Dub, a pretty good defender. Then you add an all-world defender, Lou Dort, an all-world defender. Then you add a guy like Alex Caruso, who is one of the best 3-and-D players in basketball, who is a legit clamps on the guard position. There's not really there's nothing really wrong with their roster. They have pretty much I don't want to say perfect, but they don't really have any holes. My personal thing with them is coming out of the West. It's going to come down to Jalen Williams. I don't think Jalen Williams had a very good series against Dallas. I'm not going to say he cost them, but I feel like you look at the difference between a guy like him and a guy like Kyrie Irving come playoff time, especially with experience. That's something that Dallas definitely had the edge over them with regards to that. Like kind of Luka and Shea kind of canceled out each other that series. I think a lot of the part had to do with the fact that Luka was hurt, but Luka was still on the court, so no excuses, right? They kind of even each other out, but I think Kyrie significantly outplayed a guy like Jalen Williams. And for Oklahoma City to take the next step and kind of realize themselves as like a fully fledged like contender to compete against the teams like Dallas and Boston nonetheless and achieve their dreams, I think Jalen Williams is going to have to be that guy that takes that next step.
Yeah, and I could definitely see it coming from him because he's a very good defender. I don't want to say like this Oklahoma City Thunder team because I'm a Spurs fan, and it honestly terrifies me that they have so much talent and they still have all of their picks. It's fucking unbelievable. They can only continue to get better. So I just hope the Spurs can keep up as Wemby continues his development in San Antonio. But yeah, man, going back to Oklahoma, you nailed it right on the head, man. I don't see any glaring weaknesses with this team. They're good all over the board. Defensively, they've got depth. Offensively, they can put buckets on the board. I really just feel good about this team, man. And unless there's just some, knock on wood, crazy injury or catastrophic kind of event that happens to this team, I definitely see them at least finishing as a top 2 seed in the West. There's no way I see them falling even below like a 4 seed, just with all of the talent they have. I really like them. And I think that kind of leaves number 1 to be the Boston Celtics. Yeah. And we've talked about them a lot. They're the defending champs. They've still got a chip on their shoulder, even after winning the championship. So this is going to be the team to beat until proven otherwise. And
they're on the brink of becoming, I think, a future dynasty. Again, they only have 1 ring, right? They only have 1 ring, but damn, is that squad loaded? Like I said, the only teams that really, I think, I only really gave like 3, 4 teams a shot to maybe overlook them. I feel like Dallas, if their shooting gets a lot better, maybe they would give them more of a run for their money than last year. Oklahoma City, them having that talented of a roster, I think they're second behind Boston. Right, they still might need a little more top end help to get over that hump, and then maybe Denver because they have Jokic. The same thing with Memphis with Ja and Jaren Jackson and them boys, but even then it's Boston and there's everybody else until proven otherwise.
Yep, and it's going to be a really interesting year. Even if you're not a Boston Celtics fan, you should be watching NBA basketball because that is where all the action is going to be happening.